everyone, back for another movie review. I didn't like Shaun of the Dead. I didn't like Baby Driver. Let's see if Edgar Wright can impress me with his newest movie, Last Night in Soho.
Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
Last Night in Soho is about a character named Mackenzie who is moving from a rural area in London to going to the big time, or England, to move to London, where she wants to be a fashion designer. While there, in her first day of dorm room life, she finds she doesn't like the party atmosphere, she doesn't like the people she's rooming with, so she decides to move out and finds herself a flat in an old person's house. While there, she happens to notice that every time she goes to sleep, she's transported to a different world where she's in the body of a person named Sandy. Along the way, she keeps doing this over and over again and finds out Sandy's life is not as luxurious as it was when she first got there. And along the way, there's intrigue on who Sandy is and what's actually going on. I thought this movie is really fascinating, in all honesty. Oh, by the way, I did like Edgar Wright, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So he's 1 for 2 so far with me. And now he's even up. He's 2 for 2. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a fascinating movie in the sense that it is very stylish. It is heavy on detail, especially every time you go from what's the real world to the flashbacks of what happened to Sandy's character in the past. There's always a sense that Ellie, which is the main character, played by Thomasin McKenzie, is always there in the mirrors. Like every time Sandy's in a reflection, on the other side of that reflection is actually Ellie. And it's kind of interesting. At times they mirror each other, i.e. looking in a mirror, and other times there are points where Ellie is looking at Sandy's character, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and going, wait, what decisions are you making? And it almost turns out like a single white female at one point, because after the first night she's so enthralled with this time period, the 1960s, that Ellie's character in the real world starts to change her appearance to look more like the dreamlike character. But as the movie goes on, she starts to see what's going on in the other world, in her world, and it's driving her crazy. Mackenzie's really good in her role, especially as she's going towards the brink of madness. I like Anya Taylor-Joy's character as Sandy, where you kind of see this fresh-faced person who's been drawn to the upper London scene, and she's quickly finds out that there is a skeevy side to everything going on, and that if you're not careful, you can be dragged into a different direction. I thought the story flowed really well. It wasn't anything that I felt bogged it down. Much like Baby Driver, though, the soundtrack itself is its own character. Now that could be a good thing or a bad thing, because especially in the first and second act, it feels like, can we not have music for a minute or have something instrumental? It feels like you're trying to sell me a best of CD. I think this handled it better than Baby Driver, and I think this has better songs than Baby Driver. I will say this though, there are a couple of things that hold it back for me. One, there's a love interest that appears in the second act, where they really didn't have any interactions other than that guy happened to be there. And that kind of, I never felt any chemistry between Ellie and that guy's character. There's also a mean girl in the movie who doesn't amount to much. She's just your stereotypical mean girl. And I kind of didn't care about her. Also, the movie strangely goes from, I think it's supposed to be, or at least I felt the trailer sold it as a mystery thriller, but the third act strangely becomes a psychological horror movie. And that's the same thing I didn't like. I think this movie handled it better than Baby Driver, where all of a sudden John Hamm became Jason Voorhees. I thought this movie did it a little bit better. And I will say I'm not completely sold on the final message of the movie. It was strange. And I was like, wait, no, that's wrong. And I'm really open to hear what people thought about that final message. Also, I'm not quite sure. There are a couple of subplots that get dropped. Like, there's this whole thing where every time, clearly there's something wrong with Ellie's character, and we find out little tidbits about her mom, and there is something wrong with her. They mention it several times, which is how she kind of goes back and forth between the time periods when she's sleeping and then all of a sudden it's coming to life when she's in the present day and awake. There's this thing with her mom at the beginning and end, but for me it never connected. I didn't get it. Acting was good. I love the shot composition. I love the scenes where anytime you see Sandy's character and then in the mirror somehow you see Ellie's character and they have to act, and then there are several fake outs and parts where they switch modes. I kind of wish they would have got to the mystery a little bit quicker. I did like the music. It was a lot of fun, and it's good to hear 60s music nowadays. Like I said, it could be a little bit overwhelming at times, but I thought it was fine. The ending, I really don't know if Edgar Wright knows how to end things, but don't let anyone spoil for you what happens in the third act. I thought I kind of knew where the movie was going at times, but it might have been just a huge red herring. But I thought the last act gave enough suspense and intrigue on what is going on that it really bumped up my score. Because I did feel like the middle portions dragged a little, just because I think it's more expectation from the trailer. It presented itself as more of a murder mystery, and it does get there eventually, but a lot of it is just a lot of style, a lot of flashiness, and Edgar Wright is good at that. As a story as a whole, I think it holds itself together enough, and the performances are enough, and I did like the music a lot, like I said. And I did like the third act ending, or the third act reveals. I'm not sure how I feel about the ending. I thought it was alright, but I'm going to give Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho an 8. I thought this was a lot of fun, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. I had an advanced screening today, so when it comes out on Friday, let me know what you think if you plan on seeing it. And until next time, tomorrow I will be doing Antlers, which I'm really excited about. I've been waiting for that movie for a while. And then Friday I'll be back with My Hero Academia, whatever the hell that movie is called. I have no hope for that movie. But that's it for now. Until tomorrow. Bye.
I'm just a soul whose intentions are